Alright, so here let's find the function of a polynomial given the zeros, and we're also given this condition that p of 2 equals -1. Alright, so if you recall, if you solve a quadratic equation, okay, so I've got x plus 2, x plus 3 at factors, so x plus 2 equals 0, or x plus 3 equals 0, so x equal -2 or x equal -3. So our zeros are -3 and -2. So you can see they're giving us the zeros at 1, 5/2. Now 1 is multiplicity 2. I'll explain that. But this is basically what they're giving us, these zeros. And all we're doing is working backwards to this. Okay, we're going backwards like this. It's the same concept. It's just this is a third degree polynomial instead of a quadratic. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started on the problem. Alright, so I have zeros at 1 with multiplicity 2, okay, and I have a 0 at 5/2. So this tells me that I have x equal 1, or, and since it's multiplicity 2, that's 2 of them, or x equals 5/2. Okay, the multiplicity tells you how many root, if it's like for the same root, how many there are. If this were multiplicity 3, I would have x equal 1, x equal 1, x equal 1. Okay, basically what that factor, this factor is going to look like is x plus 1 squared. See there, it tells you how many factors. I'm sorry, not plus. It'll be minus. Okay, it tells you how many factors the multiplicity does. Okay, all right. So now if we subtract 1 to both sides, that gives me x minus 1 equals 0, or same thing here, x minus 1 equals 0. Subtract 5/2, or x minus 5/2 equals 0. All right, now we can multiply these together, so that's x minus 1 times x minus 1 times x minus 5/2 equals 0. All right, so our polynomial p of x, well, that's going to be x minus 1 times x minus 1 times x minus 5/2, okay, and then times a. Okay, so I've got to multiply it times that a, because when I plug 2 into here and I evaluate it, I have to make sure I get -1 as an answer. Well, if I plug 2 in for x and I get some number from all of this, well, what if it doesn't equal -1? Okay, well then I can say, okay, well, a can be that number, so I can multiply a times whatever number this is when I plug the 2 in, so it'll equal -1. So see, once I plug the 2 in here and I get this number, I can solve to see what a needs to be. Okay, and and this, when I plug the 2 in, this could be -1, and if that's the case, well then a is just 1. Okay, but we got to put that a there so we can make sure we satisfy this condition here. All right, so now let's evaluate the function at 2. So I get p of 2 is equal to a times, and then I'm going to plug the 2 in, 2 minus 1 times 2 minus 1 times 2 minus 5/2. And that, see, when I plug the 2 in, the p of 2, that should equal -1. All right, so now we can see if we evaluate this, well, this 2 minus 1, that's 1. 2 minus 1, so that's times 1. And 2 minus 5 halves, well, that's what, 4 over 2, so that's times negative 1 half. And so this is equal to negative 1 half, this part of it. Okay, so that is, see, I have this equation here I can solve. I can solve it for a. So this is going to be negative 1 half a equals negative 1. So I'll multiply everything by negative 2 to get rid of this negative 1 half. And so I get a is 2. So my polynomial is p of 2 is equal to 2 times, see, all I'm doing here is I'm taking the 2 and I'm plugging it in here for a. And so that's going to be x minus 1 times x minus 1 times x minus 5 halves. Okay, and so, I'm sorry, that should be an x. Okay, so this is my polynomial. Okay, and notice I haven't multiplied it out. Well, you can multiply it out. Your teacher might want you to multiply it out. So let's just go ahead and multiply this out so you can see it if you need to. If not, you can stop the video here. Alright, so I get p of x is equal to 2 times, now let's fold this out, so that's x squared, and then negative x times negative x plus negative x is minus 2x, and negative 1 times negative, that should be squared, negative 1 times negative 1 is plus 1, and then times x minus 5 halves. Alright, and then we need to multiply this. Okay, I need one more parenthesis right there. So I need to multiply these now. So I'm going to multiply this times each term and the 5 halves times each term. So p of x is equal to 2 times, so let's multiply the x times each term. So that's x cubed minus 2x squared plus x, and then the minus 5 halves times each term. So minus 5 halves x squared minus, no, plus, and so the 2's will cancel, so that's 5x, and then minus 5 halves. Alright, and then we'll combine like terms. So p of x is equal to 2 times, so that's x cubed, and then let's see, I've got negative 2x squared minus 5 halves x. Alright, so that'll give me negative 9 halves x squared. Let me cancel these out as I go so I don't lose track of them, and then x plus 5x is 6x, and then minus 5 halves. And then we can distribute the 2, and so that's going to be p of x is equal to 2x cubed minus, and here the 2's cancel, so that's 9x squared plus 2 times 6, 12x, 2 times minus 5 halves, the 2's cancel, so minus 5. And this would be your polynomial. Okay, so, I mean, you can leave it like this, or, like this. It's, whatever your teacher wants you to do. But thanks for watching. Give me a like, subscribe, share, and see you later.